Okay, well, anyway,
Oh,
speaking of struggling sides, we're going to talk about Chelsea now. So this week, they sacked their manager and brought in Thomas Tuchel. Was that the right appointment?
No.
Silence.
I think it's harsh on Lampard because of, like you said, all managers go through blips. And I think if you look at where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could have been sacked so many times at Man United, and he's rescued it with one win. Lampard's brought in £200 million of players, has implemented about 6 or 7 of them into the starting 11, and expects them all to gel in we started in mid-September. So 4 or 5 months you expect them all to gel?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
In the first season, I don't really like Lampard and Derby and all that sort of stuff. Because...
Why is that, John? Why is that?
Because Lampard, basically, in the first season at Chelsea, he's had some fantastic play. I'm avoiding that question. I'm not talking about that night. That night is horrible.
Lives in his dreams.
Well, as people say...
Just sees Mason Mount's face.
Yeah, Mason Mount. So what were we going to say, Clive?
As people say, Rome wasn't built overnight.
Exactly.
Rome wasn't built overnight.
Well, I feel like if Rome was invested 200 million in, then...
Yeah, Rome also didn't have £200 million invested in it, did it really?
But Roman Abramovich, Rome.
Hey, there we go.
I mean, he could have had 200 million. We don't actually know how much, building Rome cost. We don't know that. But no, but it was always going to happen.
Pounds. Josh, they didn't use pounds.
Oh yeah, they used Roman numeral. No,
he could have used
Roman.
He could have used Monopoly dollars.
Could have done
the house on Stamford Bridge, and he's away. So
yeah.
But no, it's cheers, John. No, but I feel like it's always going to happen. When you spend 200 million pounds on players.
We're going to talk about Rome again.
When you get 200 million pounds on players and you bring in the likes of Werner, Havertz, you still get Thiago Silva. You get Mendy. There's got to be, some response. And I think it's come from more of maybe a financial point of view. I mean, obviously, we don't really know the kind of financial situation of Chelsea. But if Roman Abramovich has spent 200 million, you're thinking he's got to get Champions League. Otherwise, he's not going to make a profit, because the Champions League makes a lot. So, he's probably thinking I can't take a risk here. And, if by sacking Lampard and hiring Tuchel, doesn't cost too much, he wants to get it in because I just think it's too much of a risk. But, at the end of the day, Tuchel's in, there's not much you can do. I think you can have this debate forever. What are his tasks for Tuchel coming into this Chelsea job?
I think he's got to get them players that they've spent money on performing, hasn't he? Because Werner's been woeful. They've had to rely on Giroud to get them goals. Werner's been on
good player, Giroud.
Great player. No, there's no disrespect.
Werner's finishing has always been terrible, even in the
That's a hot take. That is a hot take.
No, it was. If you watched him, his finishing wasn't great. He needs so many chances to score.
Yeah, it's like Rashford. Rashford is the same. He's so inconsistent. They need
not on FIFA 20 co-op seasons though. Team of different.
We should have an episode dedicated to that.
Well, anyway, I've got some statistics for you boys. So, Thomas Tuchel, I've got my notepad.
High statistics.
Thomas Tuchel.
Rips us out with the ladies, didn't you, Kai? When you're
yes, what I do on a night out.
Being like, do you want to hear stats on Thomas Tuchel?
People that come away from this club, enjoying themselves.
This is what I do on a night out. I get my notepad out and say, do you know what? I've actually had a 99% success rate on nights out.
I want to fact check that, please, because I don't think
we can fact check that because that is not true. Thomas Tuchel at Dortmund.
Tuchel, mate.
No, it's Tuchel, mate.
Okay.
Anyway, at Dortmund, he had 68 wins, 23 draws, and 17 losses in 108 games, which is a percentage of 62%, which isn't great, a win percentage. It's not great.
That's decent.
That's very good.
That's very good. Yeah, 62% is very good.
62% is... So, to be fair, if you're Dortmund, your aspirations are slightly different, but 62% isn't... For how many...
That's a good win record.
In the Premier League, that is, but in the German League, is that good?
The German League's a good league. It's competitive.
Yeah, but for Dortmund, though, Bayern should be...
Not when Tuchel came in. Did he
anyway. I don't know. No, anyway, PSG.
As well.
I'll cut that out. I'll leave that out. That's not making it in. And then PSG, he had 127. This is why I thought it was bad, right? Because this is his record at PSG is incredible then. Because he had 227 games. He had 95 wins and 13 draws and 19 defeats, which is 75.6% win rate.
That's because it's the French league.
Yeah, yeah. But he also had
all French viewers out there.
There'll be many.
Bonjour, ça va?
The both of you.
Yeah, but during this time at PSG, he had the highest average points per game in PSG history as a manager, tied with Unai Emery.
I think he's a good manager. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of with these German managers. I think there's a lot of their playing style's amazing, but does it produce results as much?
And I've got a stat to back that up as well, Josh.
Come on, tell us.
Thomas Tuchel has only beaten Klopp and Pep twice in 19 games.
Oh, that's a bad stat.
That is a statistic.
Oh.
That's a good statistic. That
I think Thomas Gorman would have done better than that.
Yeah. Thomas Gorman.
Yes.
He's a Michelin star chef. Like Thomas.
Yeah.
But and then I've also got one more stat for you. Just one more. Sorry, just let me just.
He's might as well
Chelsea,
the Kai Stat Show.
At Chelsea,
there for an hour.
I've just got a whole note. At Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel has had 1 win and 1 draw, which is only a 50% win record. Now that's not great.
But no, what he needs, and this is one of my points, what he needs to work on is at PSG, great play style. He gets on with the players, but his relationship with the club and the staff in the club hasn't been great with the board and stuff. It's very confrontational. I think I'm not 100% wording this accurately, but I think there was a tweet that said kind of when he got sacked from PSG that he struggles with relationships and kind of people warming to him. I think that's something he's got to work on,
especially 100%. With Roman Abramovich. Especially with Roman Abramovich.
Yeah.
100%. He needs to work on, but like you said, he needs to find this. He needs to find this starting 11. What killed Frank was he had so many players and he couldn't find this starting 11. He needs to find that quickly.
That's the interesting thing with what he's done so far. He's dropped he dropped Mount for his first game, but he's brought him back in. He's playing Hudson-Odoi a lot. It was actually improved a lot. And I don't know. I watched the game against the 0-0 draw against Wolves. I watched a bit of the one against Burnley. Did you watch any of them?
I didn't watch it, but I saw Robbie Brady's quote that he said.
Oh, what did he say? The
manager was screaming at him to mark Hudson-Odoi, and he says, "I can see him, but what do you expect me to do? I can't catch him." That's what he said. He said Robbie Brady said he couldn't get near Hudson-Odoi. So I mean.
He's a good player, Hudson-Odoi.
He's basically had 2 man of the match performances in the 2 games that they've been playing. This is what I'm saying. Would you rather would you rather keep the ball in the possession, or would you rather just sit back and counter attack? This isn't a Tottenham thing. It's just like a Chelsea thing. Like, do you like the way they're playing at the moment?
I haven't. I mean, we haven't really seen enough to kind of make a definitive answer. But I mean, he went to a three back, didn't he, against Burnley? He went to a 3-back with the wing backs, and I think Hudson actually play on as a wing back.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, at one point.
Played, yeah.
When in the I watched the last 10 minutes of the Wolves game, and when they subbed on when he was going for a goal, Hudson-Odoi ended up at left wing back. Yeah.
So it's an interesting formation because we haven't seen that since like the Conte. Remember when Conte changed to a 3-back, and then everyone changed to a 3-back just for that season. So that'll be interesting to see how that kind of works out because it's a system that it's kind of hit or miss with the wing backs.
Yeah.
But as long as
you've got to have a high work rate full backs, don't you, to play with wing backs?
And you've got to have a balanced defence. You've got to have kind of that rock in the middle on the 2 pace, which they've got. He's just got to find that starting 11.
Yeah,
you got Ziyech, Mount. Yeah. He took Abraham off actually, didn't he? 45 within 45 minutes, and he played Pulisic as a false 9.
Yeah,
which is interesting to look at that. So not good for Abraham's confidence either.
No.
But no, I think Tuchel's got all the tools here. He has.
Oh yeah.
Really, Kovacic went on his day as an incredible player.
Yeah, Jorginho.
Yeah, he's got Kovacic, Jorginho, Conte. He's got so many of these players. He's got all the tools. Really, like, does he really need to make so many players to bring in? Probably not.
He probably needs to work on the back four more than anything. I think that's where he needs to improve.
He's kept clean sheets, two clean sheets.
Yeah,
the first Chelsea manager to do that in his first 2 games since Rafa Benitez.
Really?
Yeah, long time ago. Oh. So again, the defense is true as well. He's really got to sort that out.
Yeah, he needs to find out his best defensive centre back partnership because Rudiger barely played under Lampard.
But you'd imagine he'll play under Tuchel because they're both German.
Exactly, Thiago Silva Thiago Silva was with him at PSG. He played Thiago Silva and Zuma mainly was their top scorer for a little while.
Yeah.
So he needs to work out on his best team, but I think the aim for them this season has to just be try and get as close to the Champions League as he physically can.
I think they can. If Tuchel can hit the ground running and establish a formation. I think a good thing about this is there's not a lot of players. Frank Lampard wasn't there for a long time, was he? You know, he was only there for a year and a half, and a lot of those players weren't used to his style of play. So I think it will be a lot easier than compared to like other clubs he could have possibly gone to establish a style of play and to establish kind of his ways in defence.
Thing is, they're seventh at the moment in the table, and they need to get to the top four. They play the most amount of games they can, 21 games. I think they've got to rely on the likes of West Ham slipping up, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But West Ham have, they've got to rely on them slipping up. Tottenham obviously, aren't in the best run of form themselves, and they've got to. Do you think they will get top four?
No. I don't think they will.
I don't think they will.
I think Spurs are more likely to get it than Chelsea. I think Chelsea are too. They've cut adrift and sacking your manager. Put him.
Sorry, no. I was going to say why not.
With Chelsea, yeah. So so basically with Chelsea, for me, I think they've cut adrift, and sacking your manager mid-season is the worst possible thing you can do. I'm just sorry it is. I hate it. I absolutely hate to see a manager sacked mid-season, because to sack a manager mid-season means he hasn't got a transfer window to bring in who he wants to. He's got to work with players that he really hasn't chosen. He's got to then get out of the style of play that their old manager is in and put in a new style of play whilst trying to get results. It's a very difficult job for him to do. And go on.
Yeah, no, and it's true. But I think with Frank Lampard kind of only being there a year and a half, the style of play isn't going to be as much implemented. Plus, wasn't really a style of play with Frank, really. He attacks so much, but the defence was so exposed. I think it'll be a lot easier. But you are right. Tuchel will demand. There's a very certain way he wants to play, and that will take a while. But I think he's helped with the fact that, again, the players isn't his sort of players, but these are amazing players.
Yeah,
these are amazing players. He's got Havertz, Ziyech.
On paper, it's probably the best squad, like one of the best squads in the league.
Which I think is why Lampard got the sack in the end, because, like you say, he's not getting results with this team, and with that team, they should be able to play football on their own.
With greater power comes greater responsibility.
Who said that?
Yoda.
Josh Bailey. That was me.
Anyway, I think. Do you think Lampard would have been sacked if fans were in the ground? Because I was watching a couple of Chelsea fans' videos, and they were saying if Chelsea fans were in the ground, they'd have got behind Frank, they'd have got behind the team, and if Frank had been sacked with fans in the ground, they thought there'd been like a massive uproar against the owners because they literally got rid of one of their own. And I think Chelsea. Abramovich has kind of, sneakily sacked him now with no fans in the ground. No one can really uproar against it. They've got to just sit at home and passively watch this football. And I feel like he may have sacked him purely. I think if fans were in the ground, they were in the same run of form they were in, I don't think he'd have sacked him.
Great. Yeah, I agree.